Watching Kyle's unboxing videos again?
Yeah, he always finds the coolest... No way! A robot dog? Gotta ask where he got it.
Or use your Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Just draw a circle around the dog on your screen, and it shows you where to buy it right in the app.
Whoa, I just learned a new trick. And that for once, I beat Kyle to the next big thing.
Circle it, find it with the new Galaxy S24 Ultra and circle the search with Google. Get yours now at Samsung.com. Internet connection required. Results may vary based on visuals.
Very good. Very good. Very good. ABCs. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where we discuss every single Bare Naked Lady song from 7 to Y. And I promise you, I am going to do the best tonight that I can, but I was up until 5:30 this morning and finally got a couple of hours of sleep. But you know what they say.
Tell us what they say, Tracy.
Who needs sleep?
Oh, yeah, we're
Right?
going to get it.
Who needs
I didn't last
sleep?
night.
You're never going to get it. No.
And
Never
as you can,
gonna get it, never gonna get it, never gonna get it.
wrong song.
I was just listening to that today. Woo, 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 woo.
And as you can hear, I have joining me tonight Betsy and Heidi.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
And we have a special guest joining us. You may know Wesley from his Facebook and Instagram and TikTok videos. For those of you who've seen the videos where he takes the songs and translates them into different keys and different modes and into different time signatures. And for example, like when he took 1 week and turned it into a sea shanty.
It was If I Had $1 Million.
Oh my goodness. If I Had $1 Million and turned it into a sea shanty, I told you I'm tired.
Very fun.
Welcome, Wesley.
Hello.
So
I didn't want to. I was thinking, well, do I cut it off now or wait till the introduction is finished?
yeah, you can cut me off at any time. I'm always known for making mistakes, so
Okay.
I bring the information, 90% of which is correct. So
Okay.
Hey, you know what? They make mistakes taste great.
oh,
Whoa, that just came out. I was
Heidi.
like,
That was good. You're on the puns tonight. I'm glad that
I
you're
know,
rolling.
right?
So yeah, tonight we're discussing the song Who Needs Sleep. And if you have never heard this song before, here is a quick snippet.
Lids down, I count sheep, I count heartbeats. The only thing that counts is that I won't sleep. I count down, I look around. Well, you're never gonna get it. Tell me what's that for? You happy with what you're getting? There's a guy's been awake since the Second World War.
So this is a song by Page and Robertson from the album Stunt. And we don't have Aaron, so I can't force him to have to guess. It's too bad. I wanted to really see what he was going to say on that one. But I'm going to hand it over to you, Heidi. Heidi, can you give us a breakdown on the song?
I will give you a breakdown. Who Needs Sleep off the amazing Stunt album from 1998. Clocks in at about 3 minutes and 44 seconds at about 112 beats per minute. Percival. It is interestingly in multiple keys. As far as form goes, we do have a little short intro that goes right around a progression, which I'll get into in a second. And then you have verse 1, and then you have a pre-chorus, and then a chorus. And then you have verse 2. Actually, no, you have this bridge. And within these 3 sections, it starts off in the key of G. So don't let anybody tell you any different. It goes around a basic 1-4-1-6 minor 6 chord, because in a major key, the 6 is a minor chord. So 1-4-1-6 intro, and then we get a 1-4-5-1 in the verse. So the opening verse is a traditional 1-4-5-1, 1-4-5-1, and then you have a minor 6-4-5-6. So it's G, C to D to G, then E minor to C to D to E minor. Now, that's for, so who needs sleep? Well, you're not, okay. Now I lay me down not to sleep. That part is the G, C, D, G part. Then the lids down, count, G, heart rate. The only thing that counts is that I won't sleep. A minor to F to G. I'm sorry, E minor to, where the heck am I? C, where am I? Lids down. Oh, C to F to G, A minor to G to C. So where it goes into that A minor section in the chorus, in that part, it flips then into the chorus, which is in major, C major, which is the relative major to the A minor that he just used in the pre-chorus. So in the pre-chorus, he's using an A minor progression. And for those of you that know music theory, A minor is the relative minor to C major, which means no sharps and no flats. And in A minor, your 1 chord is minor, but your 6 chord is a major chord and your 7 chord is a major chord. So it's very interesting that they start off with this G major progression. And I wish Aaron was here because this is so exciting to talk about. But then it shifts. So a lot of the stuff out there is wrong. I have the sheet music. And so I checked out the sheet music and really made sure that I had it. And in the sheet music, you can see the key changes into A minor because there's a little natural sign which takes out the sharp, which you have when you're in the key of G, and then it shifts you into that A minor. So you've got 3 things going on here, which is really exciting. And you can hear that in the music because where it opens up one way and then it shifts you with the lids down, which is interesting to go into minor when you're like trying to fall asleep. So I think it's kind of meant to be. And then when he goes into who needs sleep now, and you're back into a major key there. You know that. So it's very exciting for a music theory geek. So Jim, you obviously know something about music because I've seen your video and your sea shanty and you're building your chords and stuff. So you must have a vocal background. And I see you're wearing a Modes shirt. I love it. I don't particularly like music. Oh, what is my anagram for that? I don't particularly like. There's a sentence. And now it's escaped my brain because it's been a long day.
So I know, Jim, that you have done a lot of work with all this stuff. So, and we'll come to that later on. But does that make sense with what you've seen?
Oh, that's what it is. I don't particularly like modes a lot. Especially low Korean mode, because low Korean mode is evil. And Jim can't talk, so he can't say anything. Like, I must be the most intelligent person on the planet right now. So thanks, Jim, for saying that. We really appreciate that. And I just realized I keep calling Wesley Jim because I'm looking at his name on his screen.
Yeah. So that's the thing is you pretty much said all that I can. The only thing that I can think of, the pre-chorus ends with G, which if we're doing our classical motion, that's the 5 of 1. And so it becomes the pivot chord, which means a chord that's has different functions in 2 different keys, and it becomes the transition. This is the music theory professor in me coming out here. So in A minor, it's a 7, and in the key of C major, it's a 5. So it has, if you were right, if you were giving a little analysis test, that's what you would do. You'd write C major, it's 5, and then in A minor, it's 7.
I would have gone deeper into that. I'm also a music professor.
Oh, okay.
But for the purposes of this show, I don't like to get too crazy. But absolutely, yes. Once I spent a whole time explaining 7th chords. So
it's basically using those notes to kind of pivot between these key changes. That is really cool because, and you're right, Hetty, you feel those changes in the music in those different parts. The music itself feels significantly different as it's switching.
That's the harmonic progression. There's also very much kind of a timbral shift. What is that called? The pre-chorus? We're calling it the pre-chorus. Mm-hmm. It has a very different kind of mood to it. I'm trying to remember exactly what's going on, but
like a military style, I mean?
Or and his voice changes a little bit, like outside of the harmony. That's at least what I heard. I almost feel like I need to listen to it again.
No, I know. I feel that way when we do these things all the time.
When I do arrangements, I do the whole arrangement out, and then I go back and listen to the song and find out, oh, well, that's wrong. I missed that.
Yep.
Part, right?
That's why it's really lucky, Wesley, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Like sometimes when I'm glad when I have sheet music, which is not possible for every one of their songs, especially when we do deep dives. So for this one, it was great to be able to really look at the chord progressions and take a look and analyze those a bit.
I'm going to pull us back to talk about the music of this song. Musically,
we don't often hear those progression changes like this. Normally they'll stay in one key for the song, and they might pivot with using secondary dominants or things like that, but they're not, from a chordal perspective, this is a bit different.
Yeah, they might slip and slide through the keys or add one or two here or there that aren't normally in there, but they usually don't bounce around from one key to another, and that's really cool that they're doing that.
Well, it's not really bounced around either. There's a very good reason for that pivot into those chords, because they are related to each other very closely, and it's interesting because you're going from like G to A minor to C. There's a worthy progression in that, both in what you're hearing. And so I'm sure that Ed had reasons for what he did with that. But anyway, plus you got the opening flute line, which is pretty sweet.
I was just going to say, we talked a couple of weeks ago about this, and Aaron was talking about it. We have rock flute on this song.
Rock flute. That must be Steve.
It is. And we have Kevin on the clavinet. And then we have Pierre Tremblay, who is actually one of the management team. He's credited second on the album after Terry McBride for management on this. He's credited as French Pete Tremblay on this. And then, of course, we have that really interesting holla, holla, holla.
Cheap, I count heartbeats. The only thing that counts is that I won't sleep. I count down, I look around.
Holla, holla, holla.
Well, you're never gonna get it. Tell me what's...
Which is not one of the guys saying that. It's actually a sample from Don Garbutt. And Don Garbutt he's a famous award-winning music composer, producer, and sound designer. For example, he does a whole bunch of stuff from traditional Celtic music to theme park sound design. He's created music for TV and films, and he was the piano tutor for Dennis Quaid for Great Balls of Fire. And he did studio design for Henley Butler for the New Orleans piano professor. He was the MIDI guru for Procol Harum. He's consulted with Oscar Peterson, Pink Floyd, David Bowie, The Tragically Hip. So he has been around. So it's really cool that they decided to sample him. I reached out to him. I haven't heard back from him about like where this comes from, but
Right.
He does have his own YouTube page as well.
Cool.
Okay. So first, I feel like so my whole shtick is, or my whole thing is, I know a little about a lot. So when I was contacted about this, I was like, well, I am by no means an expert in the band or anything. So I'm just so when I hear all this stuff, I'm pretty much, let's just say, lost, and I am learning all this.
Oh, Tracy's the deep diver, and so you're more of a Renaissance fan than Wesley.
But, my tagline is "Jack of all niches, master of none." People will be very quick to tell me how I didn't get the style completely correct. So
The nuances, yeah.
I don't know, because see, you brought some cool stuff to us. Can I share it with people, Wesley?
Yeah, that's sort of. I assumed that's why I was brought on board.
Well, I will say, so I love your page, and it always brings a smile to my face. And then when you did the "If I Had $1,000,000," but as a sea shanty, if I could share that, I would love to.
Yeah.
Crazy, are you sharing sound?
Okay. No.
Oh, for crying out loud! I'm over here dancing.
You're
and
dancing and
share the
having
sound.
a
Okay,
great
hold on.
time, and I'm like, I'm dancing with myself. Oh.
With
And
my-
now that you made a joke about it, I have to keep that in. Thanks.
If I had $1,000,000,
If I had $1,000,000,
I would buy you a house.
I would buy you a house.
And if I had $1,000,000,
If I had $1,000,000,
I'd buy you furniture for your house.
maybe a nice Chesterfield or an Ottoman.
And if I had $1,000,000,
If I had $1,000,000,
I would buy you a K
a
car.
nice Reliant automobile.
And if I had $1,000,000, I'd
I'd buy
buy
your love. I'd buy your love. I'd buy your love. If
I could watch that for hours. I love it.
Brilliant.
But you brought to us some reimagining. So what you do is reimagine songs in these different ways, and you brought to us some other reimaginings that of this particular song. So I'm gonna find, which one would you prefer me to start with, the salsa one or the classic?
I'd say if you it depends. Do you want them to have like a nice calm and then a high, or a high and then like a wind down?
Let's go with a calm after that one and go into the high.
Okay.
All right. You want me to stop sharing screen? Oh wait, I got it.
Okay.
I saw Heidi smile. Like, I don't think Heidi could get a bigger
No, I want a
grin.
whole album of that. I want a
Yeah.
whole album of that. Like,
Take all B&L, put it into classical. I want that.
It's
I would totally buy that.
when I do this, I'm basically cramming every kind of trope that I can think of into 1 minute.
Silly
Not
thing.
something completely different. What was the first idea? It was definitely the salsa idea, but then I started playing around with making it all kind of straight, unsyncopating, desyncopating, instead of
The noodling around on the classical one was just gorgeous.
Yeah. See, the thing is I am not a pianist. I have a keyboard. It's just like my main instrument is classical guitar, but you have to put everything in through the piano. So it's all notated in a score. And so I just have the MIDI is all playing it back. So it's not a real orchestra, but every time I do classical, I always do like a piano concerto, that's a piano with the orchestral sort of accompaniment. They do play, and I always do what's called the Alberti bass, that's like the most stereotypical classical thing you can do. And so that's kind of what I do, even though, there are definitely piano concertos that do that, but they probably don't do it as much as I do. And I changed key more than the original song. I went from G in the verse, and then the second time the verse comes through, I did it in the relative minor of G, which is E minor, and then back to G. Then I did the transition pre-chorus. What I like to tell my composition students, or when I describe what I do, a lot of times what I talk about is you have this point of change, and so many people think it just arrives naturally. But so what I like to do is I have the point of change, and then I work backwards to it to make it sound like, ooh, what a surprise. It just happens to be going to this new section prepared in this new key. But, I assume that's how people write screenplays. It's not just, hey, they just happened to defeat the bad guy in the way that the original goal of whoever was writing it. But
I like to read a lot of Agatha Christie, and I'm sure she worked her way backwards. Like, here's the answer. I'm going to work my way back from where I want it to be and add in the clues here and there.
And so the thing that I do to make it sound classical is I always do the really traditional 5-1 in the new key. So if if the key goes from G to A minor, I made sure I threw in the 5 of A minor, which is that. And then I made sure and threw in the 5 of C to transition into C. That's kind of back to the pivot chord. Anyway.
Now, Heidi, I saw you laughing. I'm guessing about what that was from.
What was it from?
I'm guessing that you were doing a deep dive, weren't you?
I was. I found the milkshake shanty and I just lost it. Now I am going to follow you on everything. I know I've seen your stuff going through on like an Instagram feed and stuff, but I'm like, I don't spend a lot of time on there. But now that's pretty amazing.
A milkshake brings all the boys to the yard and they're like, it's better than yours, damn right, it's better than yours, I could teach you, but I'd have to charge. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard and they're like, it's better than yours, damn right, it's better than yours, I could teach you, but I'd have to charge. I know you want it, the thing that makes me, what the guys go crazy for. They lose their minds. The way I whine. I think it's time. La 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 la.
That is amazing. And that it is much longer than that. I recommend people go out and listen to that whole thing.
I don't know if this will go way off topic. I don't know if we want to do it, but I'll try to keep it straight. The Milkshake Shanty was the video that I discovered that if I say, hey, what song should I do as blank? And whatever makes a sarcastic suggestion. And I say, okay. And I cut straight to it. That's the first video that got like, have yourself.
Sorry.
That's the Christmas one.
That was the Christmas one.
I know, yeah.
I accidentally got that one going.
So but in order to arrange a song, you have to spend a lot of time with it. And one of the issues that you get that happens is, especially if it's in the same key, your brain will start switching between the versions, like the original version and my version, or in my case, 3 versions, the classical, the salsa, and the original. I'll be like, I'll hear, like sometimes I'll hear Ed singing, who needs sleep? And then immediately I'll think of the brass line in the salsa version. The fun things that happen when you arrange stuff. That's why I say, if you're going to arrange something, you have to at least like it or something, because if you don't like it when you start, you're going to hate it. You are going to despise it with every fiber of your being, because it's going to be stuck in your head for the next week.
Well, hopefully you didn't hate this song. We'll have to find out later. But I am gonna go back here real quick and pull up the other version that you made for us for tonight, the salsa version. Now that I've got it working. I could listen to a whole album of this song done in different versions.
I want our jazz ensemble to play this. I need to give it to our jazz studies professor. Can you have our jazz ensemble play this? Can you arrange that out for me? Yeah, that'd be great.
It's not is it like a standard big band, 5 trumpet, 5 trombone, 5 sax? I know I have the jazz score here somewhere.
Wow, a jazz score too. Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, it's a score. I mean, yeah, because when I wrote out the part, I can't think of there's a jazz arranging term, and I'm drawing a blank right now, but it's basically you take the melody and then you have your chord. So in this case, it's almost always like some big cluster 9, like a 9 chord, like G9, and so which is so you take every note that's next to it. So everyone is playing. That's the 5 horns they're playing. And the next note, I can't.
So they're playing the notes around it to go along with what's going on there.
No, and the next chord is like C9.
Well, it sounds amazing. Like how you was saying. I really want to hear a live band play that.
Yeah, and of course, well, what I have is MIDI, and so my ears keep. Oh, I can hear the MIDI saxophones. The good news is MIDI can make it sound really realistic, but you can still tell it's not real.
It's so much better than it was, though, when I was back in college, at least. I'm not sure if we're on the same age or not, but man. Oof.
Oh, what it used to be when I was playing the keyboard way, way back when. Oh, this is so much better now.
Oh, yeah. Denali 2005 or 2006 got when he had Garriton instruments added, and it was like, yes, this sounds great, and it actually kind of sounds terrible compared to what they have now. But the MIDI patches that came with the software were, of course, really, really obviously not real. They kind of sounded like the patches you'd get in a 90s preset keyboard. And so, they're getting better. They're getting better.
They are.
I would love to hear a real.
Definitely better than the Omnichord.
That's. I actually could arrange this out for a jazz band. This is my issue with everything is I am not fully native in writing for big band scores. So what happens is I send it to them and they say, okay, it sounds nice, but we can't play this. We can't do this part. This part is, you have the trombones playing way too low here. And,
that's not possible. You can't do that.
Well, it actually is possible. It just doesn't, they're not used to playing those notes in that style. being an expert in a certain field and having repetitive exposure to it would help, as opposed to waking up the next day and saying, hey, what genre haven't I tried before?
And you do a whole bunch of different genres.
Fortunately, I guess, or it's either fortunate or unfortunate.
I like the video where you did Star Trek in the style of Star Wars, and Star Wars in the style of Star Trek. Like, very nicely done.
Because, usually it's for me, I'm one of my many possible slogans was like, I'm a musical chameleon. I can sort of blend into whatever style you want me to, but if you look really closely, you can tell that it's a lizard. Oh, there's actually somebody, so someone who's familiar with the genre will probably say, well, yeah, it's not quite there, but I get it.
For a novice such as myself, I can't tell the difference, obviously. And it's definitely entertaining. Like the Sweet Dreams done in Dixieland style is extremely entertaining. I just got a smile from Heidi. She's like, "Oh, wow, wait."
There's a lot of accounts out there that switch major and minor, and that's pretty much like all they do. They don't change anything else. They try to keep it exactly the same, except change it from major to minor. And so I keep thinking, okay, I have to do something else or I'm going to get compared to them. So I usually pick that New Orleans style jazz for something really sad, and then I change it to a major key. It's interesting how the changing to a major key seems to rile up people more than changing a song that's in major to a minor key.
How dare you make my sadness feel happy?
It's one of the interesting things I've learned in my years.
It's almost like people want to be miserable. You can take the happy and make it into miserable, but you can't do it in the other direction.
Well, interestingly enough, what I did for the salsa version, since we're talking about changing to minor, I did change it to minor, but this is we're going back to our lesson at the beginning, the relative minor. So a lot of times when I'll change a song to minor, I'll change it to the parallel minor, which means keeping the key, G minor, but that's not what I did. I went to the relative minor, so it kept the same notes in the melody.
Let's talk about what the song is about.
Is it about sleep?
I think it's about sleep. This is one of those songs in college that I loved because this song came out when I was doing my master's degree. If you've never done a dissertation or had to teach and take classes at the same time, you'll know that sleep does not exist for months on end. This song just hit home. I was like, yes, this person gets me.
This song came along when I was in college too, like right in the middle of college. And definitely it was like my college anthem because even though I managed to get some sleep, I wasn't at a party school necessarily, but I was in like a quad of the campus, and it was it was loud. I had to sleep with earplugs in every night and everything. So and then later as a parent, the whole who needs sleep took on a whole new meaning. So you guys know. So yeah.
Same.
Sure.
Yeah, same. Now, yes, I do know what it is like to get a doctorate and have to do your dissertation. And I do understand that very, very well. And I've just always enjoyed this song because it's quirky and fun, which is why I'm been loving them for so long. But I love in fact, sometimes even when I'm in bed now, I get the pre-chorus in my head, like lids down, count sheep, count heartbeats. The only thing you get is holla, and then I go through it all again. So it's and the whole like now I lay me down not to sleep. What a great play on that. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I and I swim in sweat 3 inches deep as a woman of a certain age. That is becoming all too close to the vest right now. Too close. But and then that whole section I love. I've always loved. Just lay back and claim defeat. Chapter read and lesson learned. Turn the lights off while she burns. So while she's 300 degrees, I throw the sheets off and I freeze. Like, that's just a night in my house, pretty much.
Well, I mean, what a great way to describe insomnia. Like, you try everything that you can to get to sleep, and it just won't come, no matter what you do. And you can't get comfortable. There is no such as comfortable. For right now, it's freezing. Now it's too hot. Now the bed is lumpy in this way. Now it's lumpy in that way. And
you stick just your foot out under the blanket. You know, just your foot. My socks go off. My socks come back on. It's pillows everywhere.
You try to cuddle next to your wife, and then no, she's too hot. So and then I better move over this way. Now I got to throw the sheets off. Nope. Now I'm freezing.
It's such a constant battle, and especially also if you have animals. If you have dogs that sleep in your bed, which never thought, and then they take over. Like Savannah's a big potato lump. And she just will lay right at my feet, and she does not move. And I have one of those now, a weighted blanket, and which is really a lovely invention, by the way.
A dog is a weighted blanket, by the way.
That is true. But Percy, the little one, sleeps right up at our heads in between us. And granted, I sleep alone a lot because my husband travels so much. But I'm like, we have a California king size bed. I should be able to just stretch out, but I can't. And then I'm afraid to move. I'm afraid to make the dog upset. I'm like, wait a minute, this is my bed. I paid for this bed.
This is a dog.
and it's funny how your sleep patterns change too as you get older. I used to be a massive night owl, and I would sleep all morning. Like, remember college where 2:00 was like, oh man, it's 2:00. I should probably get up. Like, I was never an early bird person. And now that I'm going to be 50 very soon, I'm like, oh, I get up in the morning and I'm like, yay, time to start my day at like 6. And I'm like, why am I starting my day at 6? This is so dumb. I don't teach high school anymore. I don't need to be up at the crack of dawn. But I still am a night owl, though. I am such a night owl. I sometimes it's midnight, 1:00, and I can go to bed at 10, but I'll toss and turn for 2-3 hours. First of all, yeah, I'm talking about you booger. Hi, everybody. That's Percy. He's chiming in. But have your sleep patterns changed?
Mine?
Yours or Betsy's or Wes?
Yeah, I used to be a lot more of a night owl in college, but yeah, since having a kid, I go to bed a lot earlier. But I find I go to bed and I still lay awake for a little while, and then I watch Great British Baking Show, and then that puts me to sleep every night. I love those people. But yeah, it is much more different than before. Way earlier.
For me, unfortunately,
just get on my shoulders.
Everyone in my family,
you don't like
been
that?
a night person. There hasn't changed any of that. And one of the things about, quote, the musician mind, for some reason, is all the best ideas happen. Like, as soon as you think about going to bed, this idea pops into your mind. And you're like, oh, wait, I got to do that now, or else I forget it tomorrow morning.
Write
because
it down or something.
It's like almost uncanny. If somebody said, when do your ideas come to you? And I was like, it's as soon as I start thinking about going to bed. So it's either lose the idea, or, it's either I have to choose between sleep or acting on the idea. I try to, sometimes I try to write it down, but then the next day I might not feel up to it. When I've described my sleep patterns to people, they say, that's not normal. And I said, oh, really? So nobody else wakes up every 2 hours?
I do.
Yeah, because I was like, I've done that all my life is all I can remember. I always wake up about 3 or 4 times in the middle of the night, and then I go back to sleep. And they said, no, you're supposed to sleep the whole night.
That's the way it works.
I've never done that.
Really?
That's the way everyone else does it? What?
Really?
You're like the full day.
I don't know. But see, I don't know. Is that true? Because someone told me that, and I thought.
So from a scientific point of view, as a person who knows this stuff, we go through 90-minute sleep cycles, where we go through how the deepness of sleep changes throughout those 90 minutes. And at the end of the 90 minutes, we come the closest to being awake. Now, depending on how deep a sleeper you are, you may actually come fully awake at the top of that cycle and then come back down out of it and then go right back into your sleep. Yeah, and to varying degrees, we all go through that cycle, but just how far into the sleep and how far out of it depends.
Well, now I know.
And it's actually why when people get, you could be extremely tired in the middle of the day, because we go through those 90-minute patterns throughout the day as well, which is why you could be like in the middle of the day doing really well and then all of a sudden feel really super tired and 30 minutes later be like wide awake again. It's because if you're tired, you've hit the bottom of that your sleep cycle, so to speak, your awareness and awakeness cycle, and you know that you're going to, which in the future, if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. Why am I tired? How do I stay awake? You don't have to stay awake the rest of the day. You just have to stay awake for the next 20 to 30 minutes and your body will naturally start to wake up again. Now, the downside of that is in another 40 minutes after that, you will be back to being exhausted again.
Wow. And you know what's funny too, on that line of sleep, the amount, when we were younger, I mean, being Gen Xers, whatever, we don't sleep. We just didn't sleep. And I mean, heck, I used to work the night shift and was at college all day and then worked the night shift at this transportation company. And I survived on fudge rounds and Jolt Cola. Do you remember Jolt? Like, I'm surprised I didn't have a coronary at the age of 24. Like, oh my Lanta, Jolt Cola. And we were taking ephedrine, remember those days? Like, it was like, and now it's like the value of sleep. There are so many special pillows and mattress toppers and sleep mattresses. And I started to become a very big fan when I had to teach, like I had an 8 a.m. class a few years ago, but my commute is 2 hours. So I'd have to get up early. So I find that routine works the best. Like I would go up at 9:30, take a shower and push myself to be in bed at 10. And I took those ZQL gummies, the ZQL, though you take half of one of those and it's sayonara, sayonara. But the problem is when I don't have to get up really early, I go back and forth with myself. Maybe I should take a gummy and then I'll get to sleep really quickly. And I'm like, oh, but now it's too late. It's too late at 11 or 12 for me to take it because then I won't want to get up in the morning and I got to get Noah off to school at 6 and blah, blah, blah. And so I argue with myself. Now, if I just stuck to the routine and did the gummy thing and went to sleep on time, then that would be fine. Like it's why I just push myself to stay up later. I don't know, because it's exhausting.
And by the way, for people that are trying to catch up on sleep, science actually shows that you cannot catch up on sleep. No, once you've lost it, it's lost.
No, and I can't nap. Can you nap? I hate naps.
No, that's not a thing, is it? Yeah.
I wake up feeling all cotton mouthy and headachy.
Not sometimes I wake up more tired than before the nap.
And there's that sweet spot too. If you sleep just a little too long, you feel like crap too. Just like if you get up too late, like I should have gotten up at 8 instead I got up at 10 and I feel like crap. Like it's just wrong. So I think because you're like, I don't have to set the alarm today, but maybe you should still set the alarm for a normal 8-hour time so that you're not over. I don't know. Maybe I should just read up on more sleep.
Low all day. Yeah.
I did a sleep study once because my husband said I snored. I do not snore. He snores and the dog snores. I do not snore. But he thought he's like, I think, because I make these sounds, I guess, like, or something like that. So I went in for a sleep study. Like, it was like, I puff I go in my sleep. I don't know why. And so he's like, I'm afraid you're stopping breathing. So I went into a sleep study. Have you ever done one of those? Because they're insane. And they hook you up to every wire imaginable. And you wake up in the morning and you've got all that sticky stuff still in your hair. It is so gross. You are so hooked up. You cannot get comfortable. How are you supposed to sleep through that?
Nope.
And when you finally do fall asleep, you're like afraid you're going to pull wires out and stuff. And I'm like, and they're like, try to get the most normal sleep you possibly can. I'm like,
when you use your weighted blanket so your arms don't fly up.
Yeah. It is the worst. I would never want to do one again. Ever. And that getting that stuff out of your hair was horrible because they stick stuff in your hair. Wait, did you say you've had one done, Tracy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's horrifying.
Yeah, no, I didn't enjoy it for a second.
Never again. No, not 1 second. And it was so like weird. It was just weird.
I'm one of those people that sleep on my stomach the best. Could you even?
It doesn't give you a crick in the neck or anything. Man.
That's the best way for me to fall asleep is to sleep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody that sleeps on their stomach.
I
Like a
used to,
little
but
baby.
because
Like
I have sleep apnea, I'm not allowed to.
I have to sleep on my back.
I can't sleep on my stomach. I can't sleep on my back. I have to sleep on my side.
Oh, I'm a side sleeper. You're a back sleeper? I sleep on my side with a pillow between my legs, but not one of those special knee pillows. It's just a regular pillow between my legs.
I have to sleep on my back, and I have to have a pillow under my knees, and I have to have my Care Bear on top of me.
I was gonna say I always fall asleep on my stomach, but then I wake up on my back, and it's
weird.
Yeah.
Never wake up in the same position I fell asleep.
Human body is so strange.
But, I don't sleepwalk, so that's good.
That's good. Oh my God, can you imagine?
That is really weird.
Because so many times I think, well, how did I end up like this?
It is really strange.
Well, in college,
Completely numb, like this, like.
Oh yeah, I wake up with my arms over my head like that.
Hey, what's this touching me? Oh,
maybe I would lose weight if I slept walk more.
I used to fall out of bed a lot. Like I just randomly fall out of bed. My sister once, when we had bunk beds, now granted these were 1970s bunk beds, early 1980s maybe. I think I was like 8. So yeah, early 80s. Anyway, she fell off the top bunk. My sister fell off the top bunk because railings, who needs railings? It's like 1979. Who needs railings? She falls off the top bunk and I had a broken arm. That's right. And that's why I was on the bottom bunk. Because I normally was in the top bunk, but I had a broken arm because I broke my arm ice skating. And she was in the top bunk and fell out and fell on the floor. And the next morning there was a trail of blood all the way to the bathroom. And she was because she had poked a hole in her face because she hit the dresser when she came down. And so there's blood everywhere. And she was sound asleep on the bathroom floor.
Probably with a concussion.
No, she was fine. She ended up having to get stitches, and she now has a Y in her face, which is funny.
Well, why don't we get back to the song?
It's a little funny. Okay. Hey, we're talking about sleep, Tracy. It's not the worst tangent we've ever been on.
Yeah, no, it's not that far off, actually. Why? Like, I like the fact that he uses the double meaning of count. He's counting sheep. He's counting his breathing, and then but that's not what counts. What counts is that he can't sleep.
I love his use of that alliteration and the count, the C words, not that C word, everybody, but the counts, count sheep, count heartbeats. The only thing that counts is that, and the way he accents some of those words in the rhyme of it, in the rhyme scheme, is really brilliant too.
I agree.
Do you ever make deals with yourself when you fall asleep? Like I start counting down from 10 and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be asleep by the time I get to 1. And then I'm so tired. You know, when you get so tired and you're wicked punchy, that's me today.
Yeah.
It's
I had 2 more notes that
No, the only time I ever counted backwards from any number and went to sleep was when I was under anesthesia.
I had 2 more notes that I wanted to bring up about the lyrics or about the song.
What notes are they? Is it a high D? Because that's my name.
Oh, jeez.
Get it? A music.
So I like how I like this transistor radio effect that they do later on in the song. Yeah. That is really fun. It's Steve and probably I'm going to guess Jim that are doing the response to the call and response in the song at the end. And they're doing the muffled sound effect.
Well, you're never gonna get it. Tell me what's that for? You have been rich, but you're getting this guy's been awake since the Second World War. Who needs sleep? Who needs sleep? Who needs sleep?
And the other part I like about that is they do that at the same time that they swap up what the column responses. So usually it's Ed singing the Who Needs Sleep, and then they're saying Never Gonna Get It, and then Who Needs Sleep, and it's Ed. For 2 rounds of it, they swap it up where Ed is singing the Never Gonna Get It, and they're saying Who Needs Sleep, and then they go back again. And it's good when they have so much repetition at the end, like they're repeating that chorus over and over again, to have that change up, because it keeps it a little bit fresh. Would you guys like to know where this song comes from?
I would have guessed, since I know other songs like this, is that it's basically how you have no real schedule when you're on tour. It
was B&L's concession to doing what they call the touring song, that a lot of people would do songs about touring, and they're like, well, you know what, our people can't relate.
Highway Run. It's the midnight sun. Wheels go round and round. Sorry, that's another traveling bus
but
song.
they're thinking like, well, our audience can't understand and can't identify with the whole problem with touring. We don't want to be simply whining about touring life. So they wrote this song about sleep deprivation. And some of the lines that were cut were bad snack, bunk whack, a sore back, and I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack.
Makes sense. So it definitely points more towards touring versus like Parenthood.
And then the line about the Second World War actually comes from Ed's life. He said in an interview in 2018, I wrote the song around the fact that I had a high school teacher in 10th grade who told the class that sleep is a learned thing. It was something that humans had adapted because nighttime was dangerous. It was better to just huddle in caves and relax for the night. And he had shifted his sleep schedule to where he slept for only about 45 minutes a day. And he got so much more done. And he showed us a story about a man in England who had not slept since the Second World War, which is where the lyric comes from.
Wow. And when you say he hadn't slept, like he'd slept 45-minute segments, or didn't?
It said that he hadn't slept.
Wow.
Now, of course, if you believe in mythology and stuff like that, and you believe, if you go with Tolkien, for example, elves don't sleep. They meditate, but they don't sleep.
Neither does vampire. Neither do vampires.
I'm just gonna close my eyes for a second. Yeah. Well, I remember I've watched Supernatural through twice, and I think there was a time when Sam was like sleep deprived because every time he'd go to sleep, he'd like end up in hell or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, oh my God, how long can I go without sleep? And I think they were saying for like a week, you could probably get by just barely.
Yeah.
Like your body wouldn't shut down, but.
And there's a Doctor Who episode too that does the same thing between which part is sleep and which part is real, what's the dream.
Yeah.
Well, I think what ruined it for me was for a while, like A Nightmare on Elm Street. Like that scared the crap out of me.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know the premise. I haven't seen it.
And then when you have recurring dreams and nightmares and things, and you can't run, and like Freddy Krueger, like totally like don't want to sleep. Because then you were told you can't go to sleep. How do you stay awake?
Yeah.
Well, guys, there is a trouble with Tracy.
What's the trouble with Tracy?
It's the bridge.
Why? Did it go a bit? Was it too far?
No. That's oh my gosh. No, it went over the River Kwai. No, no, the problem. No, the problem is that and it always bugs me. They go from singular to plural.
So much joy in life, so many pleasures all around. But the pleasure of insomnia is one I've never found. With all life has to offer, there's so much to be enjoyed. But the pleasures of insomnia are ones I can't avoid.
But the pleasure of insomnia is one I've never found. With all life has to offer, there's so much to be enjoyed. But the pleasures of insomnia are ones I can't avoid. So he goes from plural with the pleasure.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
To singular and back, and then I'm like, wait, no, just stick to one. Don't keep doing this.
Oh my God, I never even noticed.
I never noticed that. Wow.
And I noticed it just because when I'm singing it, it always messes me up. I'm like, wait, is this the singular verse? No, is this the plural verse? No. This is one of my favorite songs to sing. I love the song. I should mention that there is a Bathroom Sessions version of this song. And the Bathroom Sessions, Ed sings literally every single line during it.
Wes has been awful quiet, so.
Well, like I said, I feel like I'm kind of deferring to the experts here because I can tell you how I first heard them.
Yes, I was actually going to do that.
Okay.
Tell us how you first came to BNL.
Okay. So some background. I grew up in Japan. This was sort of before the internet. The internet came along while I was a teenager in the 90s. Basically, all I listened to was, or at least all I listened to from the United States, was what people gave to me on tape, or back in the day when you'd make a mixtape out of the CDs that they have, they'd make mixtapes. I was pretty much at the mercy of other people. So I never heard of them until I got to college in 1998. So I sound like I'm possibly younger than, yeah, I'm probably younger. When I first got to college, that was 98.
Yep.
That was when, I believe that's when 1 Week came out. And so that's where I got to them. Then you could, I can't remember when Napster came about, but it was about that time, Napster and LimeWire, where, you could find either little concerts. And so the stuff that I liked wasn't necessarily their songs. It was the stuff in between the songs, or the stuff that they never actually released. Like one was called the Bare Naked Rap. They'd do, I can't remember what it was. The one I remembered was, they were doing the Sesame Street near, far, and then they'd segue into My Heart Will Go On, because near, far.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, because I feel like I don't know if betraying is the right word. The semi-underground alt-pop folk Canadian rock band that I knew before coming back to the United States was Moxie Früvous.
Yeah.
Because when I heard Bare Naked Ladies, I thought, okay, so a Canadian band that was kind of underground, and I'm like, how did these bands are so similar? Why did the person introduce me to one but not both? They're so much in common. But that's how I initially heard them, and I'm trying to remember what music I heard right at the beginning when I was in college, and all I can remember, I feel like it's cliche to say, oh, I first heard 1 Week.
Yeah. No, when I was in college, it was my roommate introduced me to Bare Naked Ladies, and it was like the whole Rock Spectac album. So that was 97, late 97. So Tracy had to step away for a minute, but he wanted to have me lead you guys in for ratings. So what would you say would be a fair way to, so we usually assign some sort of ratings scale. So it's 0 to 5, 2.5 is average, and 5 is like your favorite song ever. And then we usually say, like, for a song like this, we'd rate it like, how many Ambiens would you score this? Or like we give it some sort of designation. How many ZzzQuil gummies or whatever.
How many ZzzQuil gummies?
So what are you guys thinking about in terms of what to rate this? Like how many sheep, or?
I think sheep would be fine. Bah.
Bah. All in favor? Bleat. Bah. So do you want to start, Heidi?
Sure. I've been a big fan of this song. I'm a big fan of this album. And it's always kind of a jam. I sing it when it comes on the radio. It's on my playlists. So I'm going to give this, I think I'm going to give it a 4.8.
Whoa.
4.8. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one for me.
So what's the 0.8 of a sheep? Is it just like leave off like the tail, or
it's just
the horn?
Right.
1 or 2 horns.
No, sure. Like it's done with just the wool without the wool.
Yeah, it's a shaved sheep. It's a sheared sheep.
All right, so I got Heidi's 4.8. Did I miss any others?
4.8 sheep, yes.
What about you, Betsy?
So I don't know if this song just got like a little overplayed for me or what, but I like it, but I don't love it. If it comes on, it brings back good memories and everything, but it's not exactly on my playlist, but it's close. I love the wordplay. I love all the little bits and pieces they put in there, but I think I'd give it like 3.9 sheep.
Yours is missing a tail.
Yeah, mine's missing. Mine got docked a tail.
So Jim, I think, did they explain the rating system to you?
Poorly.
They did, but I feel kind of self-conscious about this just because, I can probably only name 8 or 9 songs off the top of my head from their whole catalog. So.
That's okay. We've had people that have never heard of them before.
Yeah, so. We've had just singular songs. Just a singular rating is cool.
Yeah. I am the worst at making decisions, as anyone in real life will.
Same.
Grading, like giving people a grade on a composition, because I have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to grade people on their compositions, and most of the time I go by, what were you trying to do? Did you accomplish it? And then, so if I try to take that kind of objective point, giving it how many sheeps out of 5 might be. Like, I try to think, if somebody said, what was my favorite song of theirs that I can name, the gut reaction is probably the Alphabet song.
Oh, really?
Oh, Crazy Alphabet's amazing.
That's from their kids' album, but I thought, oh, okay. That's just kind of, and that was later. ZZ Top.
Yeah, ZZ Top.
I don't know if this is safe, but I'll give it 4.
Nice.
4. Okay. Yeah, I think that means you like it, but it's not the best, entirely greatest song in the world. That makes sense.
Like I see. I don't know their whole catalog. Do they change key a lot within songs?
Not really. Like it's pretty rare.
Like I was going to say, because I don't know if I'm supposed to bring up the other people. Moxie Fruvis changes key all the time in their songs.
Mm-hmm.
We bring up people all the time. Just ask Aaron. He's not here today, but yes, we do it all the time.
Oh, yeah. You got to have our obscure reference of the week on that one.
Yeah.
Not that Moxie Fruvis is that obscure, but neither is...
Well, relative to Bare Naked Ladies, I guess, maybe, but...
Moxie Fruvis is one of those where I have their entire catalog. And
wow.
Because that's one where one of my friends had all of their albums. This really is a specific date. I had him make me a mini disc of all the Moxie Fruvis songs. Do people remember mini discs, or did that?
Mm-hmm. Clearly, yeah.
If you watch The Matrix, he receives his data.
Oh, right.
It's something Sony invented to try to replace the CD, and it holds more than a CD. But the MP3, once the MP3 took over. So I had a mini disc of all the Moxie Fruvis songs.
Wow.
I can tell you all about their key changes.
Someone needs to do a Moxie Fruvis podcast.
Yeah, it'll be
Moxie Hoovis.
The fans are called Fru Heads.
Fru Heads. It doesn't roll off the tongue very elegantly, but it definitely
mix those with the parrot heads, and you're gonna have a good time.
Fruvis.
I suppose it's time for my rating then. But I suppose, like, why say anything nice?
Yeah. Here we go. Nice segue, buddy.
But that's because I've already said a whole bunch of nice stuff, because I do love this song. Is it my favorite song in the world? No. Do I like it a ton? Definitely. This is one of those songs that, yes, at our local billiards hall, we had Stunt, was in the rotation. And this was one of those ones that I would put on because, yes, I definitely wanted to hear this. And I was out in public and I wasn't at home with my discs. And it just, the impulse hit me that I had to hear it while I was playing pool with my friends. It really was like my theme through college. Like it spoke to me and what I was feeling, especially on those nights where I had to write my dissertation. There was a lot of those nights where I was just like, I can't sleep. I was one of those people that procrastinated when it came to tests and when it came to writing the papers. And so we would get like 4 20-page papers during the semester. You knew at the beginning of the semester you had to do them. And I would gather a lot of data here and there throughout the semester, but all 4 20-page papers were due in the last week of the semester. And I would spend that last week in the computer lab, literally night after night after night, writing a new paper every single night until about 3 a.m, typing them up and then going to bed for a couple hours to get up and go do it again. Who Needs Sleep? Definitely Explain Me, because it digs so deep and it's catchy and fun. And what a fun way to talk about not being able to get any sleep at all. And the hand claps and the foot stomping. Oh my gosh, the marching is just amazing. I love how there is that marching that is going on that is keeping the beat. I gotta give this a 4.77.
A 4.77?
Yeah.
All right.
We are on song number 273. I have to get a little specific here sometimes.
Is there when this is over, you're gonna have like a countdown special?
Ooh, that would be good.
That we could make that happen.
Well, yeah, because once this is over, we have to do the new album and then the newer album, and then we have to go to Stephen Page.
Well, what my plan is that once we're done with this, I will go through and we're going to have a couple episodes where we're going to talk about like whose album was their favorite and whose album was their least favorite. And because I have this all on the spreadsheet, I can also tell you, did you like the Stephen Page songs better? Or did you like the Ed Robertson songs? Or did you like them working together better? And it'll be really cool to kind of, I'm a data person. I'm a math person. I like the idea that I can break this down and say, I like the Stephen Page, the Page Duffy compilations better than the Ed Robertson compilations. But that's just, we'll see if it holds true. Personally, I think Stunt is my favorite album, but we'll see if that ends up being true with the numbers. I would like to give people a better taste for you, Wesley. Where can people find more of your stuff?
Well, as my moniker, not by choice, is jimlapbap, JIMLAPBAP. If do people want to hear the story of how this came about, or
yeah, no, I'd love to.
In 2002, I had this idea for is basically like a musical, but it was basically a big send up of Star Trek, but also like all the characters were kind of based on annoying people I had worked with. Hopefully they're not listening. And so I had to come up with a whole bunch of alien names for things, like alien names for people, and so I found that those tended to be very unique and would make good usernames for things. And so I'd have all these different weird, I'd had like 10 of them. And then the one I signed up for YouTube in like 2005 was jimlapbap. And jimlapbap, in the context of the musical, jimlap was a bird from an alien planet, and bap is like kind of like a British sandwich. It's like a
yes, I told you, Tracy. Yeah, it's like a bun or a dinner, not a dinner roll, but like a hamburger bun kind of thing, right?
It's actually in the song I wrote for that, and so I just used it, and then my YouTube name YouTube is where I first sort of emerged out of the nothingness. Once people started calling me jimlapbap, I thought, okay, I guess whatever 8 band names I was calling myself, because that was almost a joke. Like I had so many names for myself. Like I'm Moogie, I'm Wesley, I'm jimlapbap. I'm out of names for myself. I'm like, hi, out of names for myself. That. And then so that's where it came. So if no one ever sees this anymore, because I have to make the videos as short as possible on the short sites. But if you see it on the long sites, you'll hear the little snippet of the song that it's from, and it will say, "No longer just an alien sandwich." Since 2008 is when I started posting my own stuff. Long story, still long.
I like Alien Sandwich though. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like what band is Alien Sandwich?
Probably better than a Vegemite sandwich.
Oh, wow, yes. So yeah, I try to be on everywhere, which is YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Not everything is streaming on Spotify, but a lot of the sea shanty arrangements are on Spotify. A lot of the acapella stuff. And can I plug an album?
Yes.
I just released, it just came out today, an album of Halloween songs. It's basically you take
Nice.
it's either take a really upbeat song and make it sound like Halloween, like Sunshine, Lollipops, and Rainbows. It's done with my formulas, music box, theremin, cello, organ. So it gets that, gives you that sort of treehouse of horror soundtrack. So there's a bunch of short segments of songs, and several people have said, "Hey, I'm gonna play this in the background for trick or treaters." So, because it's like 35 songs, and they're all about a minute to 2 minutes long.
And there's some really great things on here. Just going through. I spend hours on here listening to it this week.
Yeah.
Radioactive done a cappella. I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys, but done in the style of Johnny Cash. I just love this stuff. And Heidi, he also has sheet music.
Okay, well, I kind of feel like we overlapped our expertises here.
Well, it's been fun, y'all. But I have to go take the doggy out. So,
and I will have all of those websites, his Facebook page,
I think
his
so.
YouTube
Pretty
page,
awesome.
as well as his website where you can buy that music, as well as his sheet music on our liner notes for this episode. So I recommend going out and listening to all that. It is really cool. He also does commissions and custom songs. So reach out to him and let him know. For example, the ones that he did tonight on our show, which were amazing. And please put those on Spotify. Yeah. That'd be amazing.
Okay. I'll have to think about if I want to expand them out to the full version. Because I am now
that'd be really cool.
I am now in minute and a half attention span composing mode now. I almost wonder, do I remember how to write a full 3-minute arrangement these days? I can revive that part of my brain probably.
Well, Wesley, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
It was nice to meet you, Wesley.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.